like other lectures today, I'm not focusing on any particular approach or any particular thesis. What I'm going to do today is to give you a general overview on what text mining is and how you can use in your different fields text mining to do some sort of analysis. The first question I made myself is what I'm doing here. You probably are wondering the same thing, because so far we haven't seen the very interesting lecture on complexity, on history, and apparently there's nothing to do with text mining or something to do with text. But if you look at more details, you will realize that most of the information that you have used has the form of text, another language text. But obviously you sometimes don't have the suitable method in order to deal with this information. So at the end of the day, you end up with a manual analysis of a couple of documents. On the other hand, you also have a lot of information from traditional or relational databases. You usually have a problem like a search problem in a database. Most of your tasks actually in your research field has to do with searching for information on a database. But the question we're addressing today is, what about if I need to do more? If I need to extract more knowledge? If I need to know something more interesting about my data? If I compute something like a statistical average or a median or whatever, it's just a traditional point of view of analysis of synthesis. But actually, what about if my data hide very interesting knowledge that I can extract, and then that can be used for making decisions? So that's the first point I want to address today. But specifically, it is not a talk about general data mining. It's a talk about text data mining. Because the next question that we will address is, what about if my data are text? Hopefully, I can use state-of-the-art technology for data mining. But it seems for most of us that that's not the kind of technology that I can apply directly to text mining, because there are a lot of problems with the language, and that's the problems that I'm going to show you, right? So I'm going to give a bit of context of this presentation. We're going then to talk about this weird text mining stuff. We're going to talk about the relation between text mining and natural language processing. For some of you who have read something about text mining, it sounds like, well, text is natural language. So it sounds like an obvious thing to think of applying natural language processing techniques into text mining. But actually it's not that obvious. The early work on text mining came from the people working on information retrieval, which is an information access problem, especially the people who designed the search engine or stuff like that. So it wasn't NLP people at all. So we have a lot of assumptions, a lot of very, very dangerous assumptions with this kind of approaches. I'm going to talk about a bunch of different state-of-the-art techniques. We will see how these different techniques can be used for your own field of interest. So the first thing to do is to try to put some context here in this presentation in order to define what that data mining is. Data mining for us, or knowledge discovery in databases, is known as the process of extract non-trivial, novel, implicit, and actionable knowledge from databases. This definition provides a lot of constraint in the kind of analysis that I usually try to do. For instance, I'm saying that it isn't the process of extracting non-trivial knowledge. So if I find in a database that most of the people, when go outside in a raining day or a very freezing day, this people is going to get a cold. Yeah, obviously that could be a well-known knowledge, but it's not trivial at all. So probably it's not useful to make any further decision, right? And also, if I'm working on some medicine-related research, obviously I'm looking for new drugs, for new ethic of some medicine. So it's all right. So it's not just a matter of fact that I have to extract some drug or some effect or something like that from text. I just need to extract things which are actually unseen from previous research. The problem with this in general is that the kind of thing that we call unseen or novel is not the kind of thing that you are looking at in your document directly. Usually you have to cross a lot of information in order to come up with something which apparently is novel. And the next question that we are going to address is the fact that, okay, we extract this knowledge, and how do we know that the knowledge that we are extracting is indeed useful and novel? So can we measure that kind of novelty? Can we measure that kind of interestingness? That's another interesting research topic. So I'm not going into detail, I don't have time for that, but the general process of our knowledge discovery or data mining, actually the people sometimes get confused between data mining and knowledge discovery. And knowledge discovery, we will say, is a wider process in which data mining is just one part of the whole story. So initially we have our bunch of databases, relational databases, or some sort of information, could be web pages, our initial knowledge. After that we have some process which actually filter that information and extract relevant information. Not all the information which is contained in my database is useful to be further analyzed. So we have to filter in order to extract relevant data. And then we apply the data mining task itself. We are going to more detail later. And after that, I would say that most of the time is a very neglected topic, which has to do with the pattern evaluation. What do we mean with data mining? As the definition says, you may be able to extract novel or interesting knowledge from databases. But not all the knowledge is knowledge. Not all the knowledge is interesting. So there is a very important task, which is how you assess the novelty or the interesting of the pattern of the knowledge. So you may think that that would be very irrelevant, because whatever you extract is useful, but it's not always the case, because you may not be able to analyze the whole bunch of patterns manually. So usually you need to extract some knowledge, and probably you need to look at some of these patterns, the patterns that actually are the most interesting, right? So it's very important to filter those new knowledge or new patterns. At the end of the story, I got this knowledge. The difference with other information access tasks, or in general another information access problem, is that this knowledge is not the knowledge from the user, from a normal user point of view. It's knowledge seen from the decision maker point of view. So what you're going to do is you're going to use this knowledge to make some decision. Either the decision is made automatically, or maybe the decision is made manually. For instance, some good example of the kind of knowledge which actually is used automatically is the task made usually by Amazon.com. They usually charge for the website. You click on some product, and after some time you got an email says, oh, we recommend you to buy this book because we know from somewhere that 80% of the people who buy this book also buy this other product or book, right? So we have a lot of data. We have actually, most of the time we were working with relational databases, but we have a lot of variation. And the variation that we are interested in most is the kind of textual database. And actually, if you look at the web, most of the information is not relational databases. We would like, I mean, as a computer scientist, I would like to have relational databases because the manipulation is easier. It's much more easier. But actually, more than 90% of the information on the web is text. So we need more advanced technology to deal with this text. This text has a lot of problems. First of all, and the most important is free text. We are talking about full text, but sometimes we can get information which is not structured, but is semi-structured. For example, XML document. You have tags, HTML document as well. You have tags, and you also have text. So it's a very strange combination. So in this textual database, we have text written in natural language. There's no structure. That's the first problem. So unlike traditional or relational database, there's no predefined interpretation. That means that if you look at your database and you look things like the field of the age,